I'm afraid that most of us conduct our lives as if we were omnivores, in that we eat flesh, and we also eat vegetables and fruit. But there's no question, as some philosophers indicated 2,000 years ago, that human beings are far more like herbivores than carnivores.
Greetings, vibrant viewers. Today's edition of Healthy Living features an esteemed cardiologist from the United States, Dr. William Clifford Roberts. For more than 30 years, Dr. Roberts headed the pathology section of the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, a division of the prestigious National Institute of Health, the official medical research agency for the United States. As a prolific author, he has published over 1,400 articles and authored or edited 24 books to date. He has served as the editor-in-chief of the highly regarded publication, the American Journal of Cardiology, since 1982, and is executive director of the Baylor Cardiovascular Institute in Texas, USA. In the following excerpts from an interview with Dr. Roberts, he discusses how the diet we choose often determines whether we live a life of wellness and vitality or suffer from one of many of the devastating chronic or so-called lifestyle diseases that are now prevalent throughout the world.
Cardiovascular disease kills about 45% of adults in the USA. Most common cause of heart failure are hardening of the coronary arteries. Atherosclerosis, that's the medical term, atherosclerosis of the arteries that supply our heart muscle.
Yes.
And we have a heart attack, and then the cavities dilate, and then they can't pump as well. So blood builds up, and our feet swell, and we get short of breath, and we can't walk up hills. This is heart failure, and we can't sleep flat in bed at night. Heart failure is the biggest cause of hospitalization in the USA in people age 65 and over. It is a huge expense. We have at least 5 million people with heart failure in this country, at least. It's like having cancer.
Meat consumption creates a high risk of one contracting a host of lifestyle diseases, including cardiovascular disease, cancer, and diabetes. It has been estimated such chronic health conditions cost the U.S. economy $1 trillion a year in terms of treatment expenses and lost productivity.
Most of us grew up in the U.S. eating flesh virtually every meal. Breakfast, bacon or sausage. Lunch, sandwich with pig in there, cow, chicken, turkey. And then some kind of different flesh at night. So 21 meals a week, flesh at every meal.
Yes.
Now, there is no way that a society can live long and live healthy until they're 90 or not chronic diseases the last 25 years of life. If you're a vegetarian, you can keep your waistline flat and you live longer, your blood pressure's lower, cholesterol levels are lower, and you don't have to worry about excessive adipose tissue. And so when your body weight's less, you're not putting so much damage and weight on your hips and your knees, and you got more energy.
There is a large body of evidence demonstrating that humans are natural herbivores. the structure of our teeth, and a long intestinal tract are just two examples.
The teeth of carnivores are generally very sharp. People have a few in the front of our mouth and bottom, but the majority of our teeth are flat for grinding those fruits and vegetables we're supposed to be eating. Another thing is the intestinal tract. The intestinal tract of a carnivore is very short. It's about 3 times body length. The intestinal tract in a human being is 12 times body length. So I'm 6 feet tall, and I presume my intestinal tract is about 72 feet long. So if I eat a steak, it may take 5 days to roll through there. Now, vegetarian societies, fruit-eating societies, their transient time is very fast, like 12, 18 hours. Carnivores eat by lapping their food with their tongues, whereas human beings and herbivores sip it. Now, cooling our bodies, carnivores have no capacity to sweat. Herbivores can sweat. So carnivores, to cool their bodies, they pant. Another item is vitamin C. Now, the carnivores make their own vitamin C. We, herbivores, obtain our vitamin C from what we eat. And finally, carnivores have claws. We have either hands or hoofs. So there are striking differences between herbivores and carnivores. And we certainly are much closer to the characteristics of herbivores than carnivores.
The number of animals brutally killed on a daily basis in the U.S. for their meat is absolutely staggering.
We have approximately 306 million people, and we have 100 million cows. We kill about 100,000 cows every day. And the way that's done in the USA is when those cows reach about 700 pounds, they're put in these feedlots for 5 or 6 months to fatten them up. And they're fed 25 pounds of grain and soybean. And that's so they'll gain approximately 400 or 500 pounds, and most of that is fat. In addition to killing 100,000 cows every day in the USA, we also kill about 300,000 pigs. Wow. And some of these pigs never touch planet Earth during their entire existence. And there's a lot of fat on some of these pigs. Additionally, if you're a chicken, don't wander into the USA. We kill anywhere from 15 to 20 million chickens every day.
After these messages, we'll hear more from Dr. William Clifford Roberts on chronic diseases and their direct relation to consumption of animal products. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television.
There is no question if the U.S. as a population became a vegetarian society, fruit-eating society, that the health of this nation would skyrocket. If one wants to live a long time, if one wants to see their grandchildren grow up, and not just reach age 10 or 20, but reach age 50, so you really find out what happens to them. You got to survive. And you can't survive by blocking your intestinal tract with bovine muscle.
Welcome back to Healthy Living, featuring the renowned cardiologist Dr. William Clifford Roberts of the United States and his advice on keeping well. With regards to diet, Dr. Roberts has been deeply influenced by the best-selling vegan author, John Robbins.
Well, I did read John Robbins' book, and Robbins is the Robbins of Baskin-Robbins fame. His father was one of the founders of the ice cream company, and Robbins was supposedly going to be the next president of the organization. And then Robbins became a vegetarian, and so that was a conflict. And so he did not stay with the ice cream company. But he wrote a book entitled Diet for a New America. It changed my life overnight.
In the late 1940s, Western physicians went to Africa and made a very surprising discovery about the health of the populations they studied.
And they noticed that many of the diseases seen in the Western world were not present. They were not seeing them in the African population that were living in particularly the rural areas. They didn't see, for example, atherosclerosis, coronary artery disease, blockages, hardening of the arteries. They did not see high blood pressure. They did not see appendicitis, cholecystitis, gallstones, kidney stones. Our three most common cancers: cancer of the breast, cancer of the colon, cancer of the prostate gland. They did not see these polyps in the colon. They didn't see hemorrhoids. Even things like osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, very uncommon. So there were a number of articles in medical journals and medical books published in the late 40s, 50s from Africa talking about the Western diseases, that the diseases of progress, the diseases that were killing people in Europe, in the USA, and in all these countries where they were eating cows and pigs and sheep and goats with every meal.
Osteoporosis, a condition where the bones become porous and weak, affects an estimated 200 million people worldwide. Meat and dairy intake is often responsible for this debilitating disease.
The flesh, muscle that we eat from pigs, cows, sheep, goats, fish, contain a lot of protein. And it turns out that the more protein we take in, the more calcium we lose from our bones. So it's my understanding that osteoporosis, the thinning of the bones, which is so common, particularly in women in this country late in life, pure vegetarian fruit eaters infrequently get osteoporosis. Fish is flesh. Fish has cholesterol in it, just like cows, pigs, sheep, and goats. In actuality, for every 100 grams of cow muscle, or pig muscle, or chicken muscle, or fish muscle, there's about the same amount of cholesterol in there. If you're purely thinking of it from the standpoint of cholesterol, it does no good to switch from a cow to fish. There's not as much fish in the oceans and lakes as there used to be.
Yes.
And when our societies grow to 10 billion people or 12 billion people
Yes.
from 6,
Yes.
there's not going to be enough fish.
Factory farmed animals are fed continuous doses of antibiotics to keep them alive in the utterly squalid and disease-laden conditions in which they are made to live. Cows, for instance, are given hormones to either make them grow faster so they may be sent to slaughter sooner, or to produce more milk. This indiscriminate and abusive use of drugs by the meat and dairy industries has made a huge impact on society.
The quantity of antibiotics and hormones that are given to the animals that we eat make the antibiotics less sensitive when used in humans with certain infections.
Yes.
So we use way too many antibiotics. We've got to diminish that. Now, some young girls, age 7, their bosoms are coming out. It may be related to all these hormones that are put into the animals so that they grow fatter and quicker.
Dr. Roberts believes that an animal-free diet is the solution to skyrocketing healthcare costs and to ensuring everyone's lifelong well-being.
The U.S. has the most expensive healthcare system in the world. The U.S. is broke. We can't afford the healthcare system we presently have. And it's my contention that everybody in the USA, everybody in the world, needs to grab that wheel of health themselves and do what is right to keep their body healthy. Now, when that's done, cost of medical care drops enormously for everybody.
We deeply thank Dr. William Clifford Roberts for his insightful wisdom on maintaining a healthy life and elevated spirit. He is to be applauded for delivering the uplifting vegan message to his fellow physicians, patients, and the public at large. For more information on Dr. Roberts, please visit www.baylor.edu/biomedical_studies. Radiant viewers, please join us next Monday on Healthy Living for Part 2 of our program featuring Dr. William Roberts and his sound advice on chronic disease prevention. Hello, energetic viewers, to today's edition of Healthy Living, featuring Part 2 of a 2-part series on the esteemed cardiologist from the United States, Dr. William Clifford Roberts. For more than 30 years, Dr. Roberts headed the pathology section of the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, a division of the prestigious National Institute of Health, the official medical research agency for the United States. As a prolific author, he has published over 1,400 articles and authored or edited 24 books to date. He has served as the editor-in-chief of the highly regarded publication, the American Journal of Cardiology, since 1982, and is executive director of the Baylor Cardiovascular Institute in Texas, USA. Dr. Roberts says that a diet free of animal products leads to a healthy life and freedom from the devastating, chronic, so-called lifestyle diseases now prevalent around the world.
Cholesterol comes exclusively from animals and their products. And in the USA, the majority of the cholesterol we take in comes from cows and their flesh, which we call beef to be nice, but it's actually bovine muscle. It's muscle we're eating, or milk, or butter, or cheese, and then eggs.
Cholesterol is a soft, waxy substance found in the blood and cells. Our bodies naturally produce all the cholesterol we need for daily living, with the liver generating about 1,000 milligrams a day. Fruits, nuts, grains, seeds, and vegetables contain no cholesterol. Excessive intake of cholesterol leads to hardening of the arteries and arteriosclerosis. Cholesterol is a major risk factor for cardiovascular disease in both adults and children. In the United States, an estimated 80 million adults have one or more forms of cardiovascular disease, and 1 in 5 teens has unhealthy cholesterol levels.
So if we don't eat animals and their products, we don't take in any cholesterol. And actually, most Americans now, at least those living in the USA, we average about 300 or 400 milligrams of cholesterol every day. It does an awful lot of damage.
Controlling one's cholesterol level and blood pressure are vital to maintaining excellent heart health and achieving longevity.
Not eating flesh keeps cholesterol levels down. Now, the biggest determinant of how long we're going to live, in my view, is our cholesterol level and our blood pressure level. And it's very important for each of us to know those levels and keep them down. In the U.S., it's been said for a long time that a normal total cholesterol is less than 200.
Yes.
The average total cholesterol in adults in the USA now is down to 196. And yet 45% of the population are dying from cardiovascular disease.
Yes.
We need to get our cholesterol levels total less than 150. And our bad cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol, I think of the L as meaning lousy, less than about 70 at least, or 60. When we're born, our LDL cholesterol is 40. That may be where we should go. The second thing is to keep our blood pressure down. Now, in societies who eat no salt, or at least no measurable salt, blood pressure is generally about 90/60 their entire life. But in the U.S., we eat about 10 grams of salt a day. If we don't eat salt, our blood pressure stays down. And our canned foods, as already mentioned, loaded with salt. Everybody in the USA eats too much salt. I never add salt at the table, but that's only about 15% of the salt we take in. Most of it's already put in the foods.
As a general rule, the lower one's fat intake, the lower one's blood cholesterol level, and the higher one's fat intake, the higher are one's chances for obesity, cancer, and heart disease. In particular, consuming saturated fats, found mainly in animal products, raise the risk of many diseases.
Fat is awful for us because so much of that fat is saturated fat.
Yes.
And there are 3 types of fats. There's they're really called fatty acids. They're the saturated fatty acids, the monounsaturated, and the polyunsaturated. And all these fatty acids are carbon chains with hydrogen atoms attached to them. And these chains may be 13 carbon atoms long, 27, 33, or whatever. And it turns out that the saturated ones are the ones that are bad for us. And they're the ones where every carbon atom has a hydrogen atom attached to it.
Yes.
There are no double bonds. If there's one double bond, that means one carbon has no hydrogen atoms. That's monounsaturated, and if it's more than one, it's polyunsaturated. And it turns out that the monounsaturated fatty acids and the polyunsaturated fatty acids are not bad for us. Indeed, they're good for us. Whereas if every carbon atom is covered by a hydrogen atom, it means it's saturated, that's very bad for us. And in actuality, I worry more about the saturated fatty acids than I do cholesterol.
Diabetes mellitus, a chronic condition characterized by dangerous fluctuations in blood glucose levels, results from the body's inability to produce or recognize the presence of the important hormone, insulin. Diabetes can cause blindness, nerve damage, and kidney failure, and also fuels arteriosclerosis. Following a plant-based diet helps prevent the disease, which afflicts nearly 8% of the U.S. population.
Now, diabetes mellitus, it is skyrocketing in the USA because so many of us are gaining weight. And there are two types of diabetes. One is the genetic form that you get in usually under 20 years of life, or at least under 30, often in teenage, 7, 8. And then there's the acquired form after age 50. Now, the acquired form is an obesity-related problem. So if we keep our weight down, we don't develop diabetes later in life. Diabetes is an expensive disease. The number of diabetics who go blind, who need hemodialysis because their kidneys are no longer functioning, who are losing a toe and then another toe and then the lower leg, upper leg, amputations. Half of people in this country with chronic kidney disease have it because of diabetes mellitus. And diabetes is preventable in 90% of us. We have to control our weight.
Besides following a vegan diet, what are some other effective ways to maintain a safe body weight?
I know a lot of people say, well, I need to lose some weight. I got to do some more exercise. You have to remember, you've got to walk 35 miles to lose 1 pound. In actuality, you have to do a lot of exercise to lose weight. But exercise has many wonderful things. Number one, those who exercise, when they get in bed at night, they go to sleep pretty quickly. They sleep better. Their mind is clearer, as a rule. They don't go to the psychiatrist as much as non-exercisers. Their body weight tends to stay down. Exercise is particularly good for maintaining ideal body weight once you've reached it.
Generally speaking, the older we get, the more difficult it becomes to change our ways. So the sooner in life one starts to consume only animal-free products, the better.
When a little child goes off to school and hollers back to the house, "Mommy, what are we having for dinner tonight?" Well, that means, are we having chicken, steak, turkey? If Mommy hollered back, "We're having okra tonight," little child may not come home. So we have to start early in life, and I think the young people are gonna be the ones to change. It's very difficult to convince a 60-year-old to change their eating habit. We kill the cows, and then they kill us. And that's how the system actually works.
More than 1 billion people on Earth suffer from chronic hunger and malnutrition, and globally, 90% of all soybeans grown go to feed livestock. If we instead stopped livestock raising and used all these crops to feed humans, food shortages and the inhumane mass slaughter of animals for meat would end forever.
When we send grain, soybean, wheat to Russia, for example, as we've done in the past when their crops are low, most of that is to feed their cattle, not for human beings. There is a great abundance of potential food on planet Earth to feed the 6.3 3 or 4 billion people without any problem. But 80% of the oat crop in this country, in the USA, 80% of the wheat crop, approximately, are used for the cattle. It's a major problem, and what it does is produce the atmosphere of killing, killing, killing.
In conclusion, Dr. Roberts strongly recommends following a compassionate animal-free diet to safeguard our health and save our planet.
So, in my view, the easiest way to stay healthy is to be a vegetarian fruit eater. It's the most civilized way to be healthy because we're treating our animals decently. We're treating our planet decently. Yes. We're not eroding the topsoil to feed the animals. Yes. So what is good for human health is good for non-human animal health, and it's also good for the planet. I would say that my philosophy is similar to yours. Be veg, go green, save the planet.
We respectfully thank Dr. William Roberts for promoting humanity's adoption of a plant-based diet and for sharing how this compassionate way of eating can prevent a wide range of serious health conditions. For more information on Dr. Roberts, please visit www.baylor.edu/biomedical studies. Wonderful viewers, thank you for joining us today for Healthy Living.